Today we're going to find out just how difficult it is to overtake around the new Jeddah Corniche circuit, which is the host of the 2021 Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So let's begin. We're going to start out in last place and we're going to try and see if we can get to first place on this track. And doing this will help us to get an idea of where most of the potential overtaking opportunities are. So of course into turn 1 and turn 2, there are of course going to be some overtakes around here. We're going to then try and go around the outside of Latifi into turn 4, but you don't carry enough speed through turn 5 and he just stays ahead. Now this first sector, there's like a lot of turns here and I'm a bit concerned that there's going to be a lot of dirty air here and that the drivers behind might just slow down. But considering how it was in Qatar, I'm a bit optimistic that we might see some overtakes here into turn 13, which is this banked left-hand corner. As we bump with Mazepin there, thankfully there is no damage to the car. But skipping towards lap 2 into turn 1, we almost want to send it, but instead we opt for the switchback, as Tsunoda gets held up by Latifi. We can get by there. So turn 1 and turn 2 is starting to look like a favorite on this particular track.
Nice move. Good job.
Now we're just going to see if we can hold on to Latifi through this curvy sector. Now I just wish this F1 game had like an option to set just how much dirty air there is, because then at least we make these tests a bit more realistic. But once again, into turn 13, we send it in real nice. And there's also a DRS, it is also a DRS straight just before turn 13. So once that turns on, I feel like we're going to see some more overtaking opportunities, as Latifi tries to overtake us into the final corner. But our defense is just decent. But now, once again, onto lap 3. We're going to try and go for a move into turn 4. It's going to be a bit tight since the track is quite narrow, but we just dive bomb him and it's good enough. Then now we've got DRS enabled, trying to overtake Lance Stroll. Even got overtake mode on, setting a fastest lap. We can just go for the ultimate dive bomb on Lance Stroll, then just hold it on the outside of turn 2, and there we go. Now this turn 1 and turn 2 section kind of reminds me of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, because of the way it's like a chicane sort of thing. And now with the DRS on, we can just easily overtake Kimi Räikkönen into turn 13. So turn 13 is looking to be a favorite on this track as well. So turn 1 and 2 and turn 13. And now onto Schumacher. He's gonna just defend a little bit. We're just gonna take it around the outside. He's not gonna be a threat. Around the outside, we get the inside through turn 2, and there we go. Now we're just kind of following Daniel Ricciardo really closely. I feel like in real life, most of the cars would lose. The following car would lose a lot of downforce following that closely behind. But we'll see once the race arrives just how bad it is. But once again, turn 13, an easy overtake. But now, as you see later on in the lap, we kind of just spin the car and just end up causing a lot of chaos through this really tight and windy section. You can see from this helicopter view, I touch the curb on the inside, and as the car spins, it almost blocks the entire track. So I feel like during this race, we're going to see some safety cars and maybe in qualifying red flags if even like one person just gets into an incident, because this track is just really narrow and there's no way you're going to avoid crashing if someone in front of you has just spun or whatever. So it'll be interesting. Red flags and safety cars are going to be an interesting part of this race. But now we get DRS through the last 3 corners. Even though these curves are just very slight, they call them corners. So it's like 27 corners, even though like some of them I wouldn't even consider corners. It's like how turn 2 in Austria is just like that slight left just after turn 1. But now Giovinazzi defending really hard. Now if only he could defend his career that hard, that would be great. But into turn 1 again, we're also going to take it around the outside of Vettel, getting the inside line. And once again, turn 1 and 2 with the DRS is looking to be quite the favorite. But now you can see this huge pack of cars that we're going to have to get through. We get into an incident there with Giovinazzi. So there's a replay. I pretty much just closed the door on him, and it's kind of my fault there. But yeah, whatever. So now we're fighting with Vettel into turn 1. We're going to once again try and get him around the outside of turn 2, and it's perfect. And you can see Giovinazzi and Perez now fighting up ahead. Perez looking to have the advantage, but while they were battling, I managed to get enough speed to get past Giovinazzi really easily, just giving him a bit of space. Just giving him some space there, just so we don't end up with that incident we had on the last lap. And now DRS on Perez. Realistically here, you just get team orders, but you just gotta fight it here since this game doesn't have team orders. And now on to Bottas, as we're now in the points, P9. Now once again we get DRS. He's gonna pit in, so I don't get that sweet and get that satisfaction of overtaking him. Now later on in the lap, we get DRS from Carlos Sainz. Can we send it? Nah, we're just too far. But now later on in the lap, we just hang on and just get enough DRS that's gonna pull us in and give us about, I think, between 1 and 2 tenths of an advantage. And once again, we get DRS again, so we can now overtake Carlos Sainz, but he also pits. So now I'm just going to take you through a run through this lap. So we arrive at turn 1, which is the first left-hander. Turn 2 is the right-hander. Then this very slight left-hander is going to be turn 3. We run the car out wide, preparing for the next left-hander, turn 4, followed closely by turn 5. Then turn 6, followed by a second left-hander, turn 7, turn 8, then turn 9, 10, 11, and 12. You can see just how quickly these corners follow from each other. Makes for a pretty fun drive, but I'm really concerned about the dirty air through that section. Then you go through this banked turn 13, which I'm sure will be fun to watch from the grandstands. Then turn 14, then turn 15, 16, and 17. You can see just how many subtle curves, like for example this one, where they call it the corner even though it's really just a very slight curve, like you don't even ever have to brake, even in the wet. Then we head into the next section, which is 22 and 23. Then into 24, which is then the next DRS straight, I think the third one of the lap. Then got 25 and 26, which are really hard to distinguish from each other because they're like both very slight left-handers. Then we head into 27, which is the hairpin, and then we're pretty much complete with the lap. Now I'm going to pit in for a set of medium tires. So as usual, Red Bull's going to give us a pretty decent stop at about 2.6 seconds, and off we go. Now this pit exit it kind of reminds me of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the way that the exit is right on a corner, like specifically turn 2 even. Like Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the pit exit is on like turn 2 as well. And also the cancelled Hanoi circuit, where the pit exit was also like through a corner. But anyways, we run a bit wide there as we are following Gasly, but we will get DRS once more, and we can make a nice overtake into the corner. But it looks like we're just a bit too far away to even try a dive bomb. But later on down the lap, you can see Alonso is kind of holding him up there, and this allows me to stay close and get the advantage of DRS and even a slipstream just because of how close we are. Alonso's going to get the double overtake done on him. And now I just got to overtake Gasly into turn 1 around the outside, and there we go. We are now in a podium position.
Some information on Gasly. They have
But as you
some
can see now, Gasly is starting to fight back through these next couple of corners. I tried to give him some space, but then I just kind of run wide, and I just lose the speed and the position. And now even Alonso's gonna come back at us. With the DRS, it's a super easy overtake for him, and now even Carlos Sainz is gonna get in on the action. And you can see just how bunched up the cars are here. But that's because I'm using equal cars for this particular race, just so the front runners couldn't just like disappear. So once again, a double overtake on Gasly, and now into turn 1 again. We go against Alonso this time, holding it around the outside, and there we go. Now holding on to P3 again, but as you can see, the two guys out front are just too far ahead. There's no way they're going to make up like 6 seconds of lap time. But now heading into the final corner of lap 12, I tried to defend there, but then Alonso then got the advantage on me. But thankfully, I was just like ever so slightly behind when we reached the DRS detection point, and I got to keep P3. But now later on down the lap, Alonso once again gets the DRS. He's gonna try and go for an overtake. I defend just slightly by just trying to put my car in the middle of the track to make it as wide as possible. But unfortunately, Alonso managed to take advantage of that and just carry more speed through the corner. And he just got ahead. Now even Russell looks like he might get an overtake on us, as he's now like almost a tenth behind us. That is really, really close. Especially now that he's going to get DRS. We're going to have to defend really, really hard. You can even see me there using up even more of the battery just to make sure that he doesn't get a chance to overtake. And thankfully, that does just enough. So we're going to come home in P4. Unfortunately, it wasn't first place, but I'm still pretty happy with that. So what do we learn from this? Pretty much turn 1 and 2 is going to be a favorite, turn 13 favorite, and maybe even the final corner could be a potential overtaking opportunity. So this race will pretty much come down to just how bad the dirty air is. Honestly, if the race is as decent as Qatar, then I could see this race having a lot of overtakes. But definitely safety cars are going to be a huge concern for this race. But anyways, thanks for watching. Like the video and all of that. Thank you.